On for just a couple of minutes here, but if you've been watching the news on the national news networks in the morning, early this week, you saw this huge snowstorm come across the country, blizzard, cars in the ditch, snow plows, power lines down, awfulness. They let off with that like 3 days in a row, and I'm thinking, you know, it's really good to be a Southerner. But then it occurred to me that I'm not really a Southerner. I don't think just where you live makes you a Southerner or a Northerner. What makes you a Southerner or a Northerner is where you grew up, where you were born, where you went to school, maybe where you lived until you were 20 or 21 years old. That's who you are. And you'll always be that. At least for me, I'll always be a Northerner. I can never be a Southerner. So what's the difference between a Northerner and a Southerner? And I thought about it, and I thought, well, I think basically it comes down to snow and cold. And if you're from the North, if you're a Northerner, if you grew up in Minnesota or Wisconsin or New England, you understand snow and cold. If you're like me, you may have walked to school. Now, I didn't walk 10 miles uphill in a blizzard each day, each way, but I did walk about a mile to school, and school went on, whether it snowed or whether it was 10 below zero, you went to school, and I walked. I lived on 28th Avenue on the east side of 28th Avenue in Minneapolis. If you lived on I lived on the west side. If you lived on the west side, you didn't get a school bus. If you lived on the east side, you got the school bus. So I had to walk the entire time that I went to that elementary school. But it wasn't a terrible experience for a kid. It might be terrible for your parents to drive in the snow and to work in the snow, but for a kid, all it meant was that your activities now were totally different than they had been. The first snowfall comes down and you're thinking, I got to get that sled out of the garage. And I don't know about you, but I had a sled with metal runners, wood slats on top, a little steering element on the front that almost worked, but you could almost steer it, but you couldn't. And we went sledding at Sibley Field. I was 3 blocks from my house. You drag your sled down there. This hill was so steep, you really go flying down it. And we didn't go down sitting on our butts feet first, like those luge guys in the Olympics. We laid on our bellies, head first. And down at the bottom of the hill, the park board had thought it would be a great idea to plant a bunch of oak trees. You too, huh? And if you missed the oak trees, 20 yards further on was where the football field started. And they thought it was a great idea to put a whole bunch of concrete benches along that football field. So now you had another obstacle to dodge. Well, somehow we all survived that. That's part of what growing up in the North or being a Northerner is. Enduring that, surviving that walk to school. In the wintertime also, we built snowmen. The boys just made 3 big balls. The girls got carrots for the nose. They went in and got a scarf to put around the neck. I mean, they put a hat on them, a pipe. Boys didn't do that. Boys made snowballs. And we built snow forts. And we had snowball fights. Snow. The best thing was if you could hit your sister in the butt with a snowball. Right? That was just heaven. So, snow. If there was a huge snow forecast, you got up in the morning, you walked out to the kitchen, you sat down at the little formica table in the kitchen. Your mother brought you a cup of hot cocoa, and I turned on the radio to WCCO, Minneapolis and St. Paul, to listen for the school closings. And and you listened. You wanted to hear your school mentioned so that you got a snow day. You didn't have to go to school that day. That was just wonderful. That was great. The first time I held a girl's hand was on a skating rink. And it was dark out. It gets dark early in the north, if you remember. We skated around the rink, holding our mittened hands. And it was exciting. It was thrilling. It was cold, but it was exciting and thrilling. And if you got too cold, if your ears froze, your nose froze, there was a warming house that you could go into. And in it, there was a wood-burning stove in the middle. And if you've ever been there and done that, you know the smell of wool hats and wool mittens drying next to a wood-burning stove. You know the smell? I mean, it's in your brain always. You Southerners, you don't know this stuff. You never experienced this stuff. This is what it is to grow up in the North and be a Northerner and to survive it all, to get through winter. As you get older, you'll discover girls again, and there's something special about walking in the evening with a girl, holding her hand. You hear the snow crunch under your feet. Can you hear that crunch? I mean, I can hear it in my brain. I'm rambling way on here, and I'm going to finish in just a second. Maybe you've been lucky enough at some point to sit in front of a roaring fire in the fireplace at night with someone you love, a lady, a guy that you love, or you think very highly of, is very special. And outside, it's dark, there's some moonlight coming through the window, and the snow starts to fall. Put your arm around a girl. That's romance. That is real romance. It just doesn't hardly get any better than that. It's one of those perfect moments in life. So when I decided I'd sing this song, I thought about that. And I thought, that is it. That's just one of those moments that you always remember. It's just perfect. And if you've never experienced it, I hope you can. Sometime. Soon. Anyway. All right. I've rambled on here a whole long time, and Gary he didn't know I was going to do all this, so I hope it's okay. But too late. It is. It's way too late. This is a song that is sung by a man to a young lady, and it's about what we just talked about. So I think to do it properly, I really would like to have a young lady up here that I can sing to. Is there anybody who would volunteer to come up? Yes. Would you come up so I can sing to you? Come on up. Come on right up here. Oh, here's a good sport. Right here. There you go. I think that's perfect. All right. Cindy, anytime. Oh, the weather outside is frightful, but the fire is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Oh, it doesn't show signs of stopping, and I brought some corn for popping. Let's turn the lights down low, and let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the storm. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. Now the fire is slowly dying, but my dear, we're still goodbying. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. I do my own guitar choreography too. When we finally kiss goodnight, how I'll hate going out in the stone. But if you really hold me tight, all the way home I'll be warm. Now the fire is slowly dying, but my dear, we're still goodbying. But as long as you love me so, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Let it, come on, let it snow, let it snow.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Let it snow, let it snow.
Turn it up, come on.
Mike's not on.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
There we go.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.
Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow.